Alrighty, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Daily Roundup webinar. You know, that's all I have to say about today. You know, I was just looking at the S&P and I was like, man, this is an explosive move. The bond market's closed, liquidity is really poor, and equities are just squeezing. We're almost at the 88% retracement thus far. And you can see that we're getting really overbought intraday. This is a 4-hour chart. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's driving it other than more buyers than sellers. You know, I guess we're going to have a deal. You know, just the stock market is just screaming higher. It's crazy. But there is the 88% retracement, comes in at 35.46. That might offer resistance. I do think we're back at the megaphone pattern resistance. So this is going to be some bigger resistance. One of the currencies I'd like to bring to your attention really quick is the US dollar Canadian. The reason why I bring this up is that we tried to break down, or, you know, we are breaking down. Well, I'll go back to tried. We tried to break down out of this triangle, but we hit new lows and then we bounced. Now, this is what happened earlier. I mean, this is like 2 hours ago, right? So we sell off to new lows, then we reverse, and we're holding up despite equities hitting high. So if equity markets do find some resistance around here, the US dollar Canadian might, you know, squeeze a little bit back towards, you know, the 131.20, maybe 131.30 level. I think that is currently the risk for the dollar Canadian. You also notice that the US dollar Mexican peso isn't selling off either. Typically, when you get stocks up, the peso is going to be a little stronger, and it's not today. So it is worth noting. We could, you know, get a bounce in the US dollar Mexican peso if equities do indeed find a peak. And it seems like every single Monday, stocks go higher, and this is obviously nothing different. We just might get a good turnaround Tuesday, perhaps, going into, you know, tonight or tomorrow. So just keep an eye on the markets. I don't know how much further we're going to stretch, but it doesn't look like we're done yet. The euro is pretty quiet. The cable's stronger. Okay, so the cable's holding up really well. I had most of you know I was long, or I am long, the cable against some currencies. I did pull my pound yen off, even though the pattern in play is still there. So we still have the pattern in play. I'm just going to try to buy a dip because I'm worried that it really hasn't moved higher as stocks have moved higher. So I'm thinking it might pull back a little bit, and then I might be able to get long at a little bit better price. I did take a little bit of my pound Aussie off, and this one's up 100 some odd pips right now. And I pulled it off a little earlier around these levels. I do think that the pound Aussie is going to provide an opportunity to buy it a little cheaper. Okay. And then also the euro sterling, I am short, but I think it'll probably come back up here and allow us to sell some more at some higher prices. Anyway, I am looking and staying with the pound pairs. I think the cable actually looks pretty solid. Going back over to the pound dollar, all we're doing is we're challenging the 50% retracement, but I think that we could pull back a little bit towards the breakout point and be able to reload some you know, pound longs, or, you know, cable longs for those of you that are playing it. Gold and silver pretty quiet. The crude oil market's a little weaker, which might lend to some dollar Canadian strength. Dimitri asks, hey Blake, the pound Canadian maybe long. Let's take a look at the pound Canadian. That's probably not a bad trade. I haven't looked at it much, so let's delete what I had there so we can start from scratch. So here's the pound Canadian. God, I don't know. I mean, in order for me to really get excited about this, I mean, you can probably visualize what I'm thinking right now. I mean, we are in the middle of a triangle. So yeah, and Dimitri said triangle on a 4-hour. I mean, that's the daily. Maybe the 4-hour is going to be something like this. So you got a triangle and a triangle, right? So maybe, Dimitri, what you may think about is a move above this triangle resistance, and then just be really careful with it, because if it breaks 72, then we might make it to 74, and then from there, you know, obviously we're gonna have to think a little bit harder about being on the long side of that. If I know some of you guys aren't in the chat room, I actually bought the dollar Canadian here at 13, like right where we're at right now, just in case we get a little false breakdown. I put my stops right up below the lows, so I'm not risking a whole lot. I've had a good morning this morning being long sterling, so I'm willing to take on a little bit of risk, but I'm not risking a whole lot. As you can see, I'm risking probably about 15 pips right now, so it's not very aggressive, and it is. When I say not very aggressive, it's not a very big position, and I'm not super confident in it. I'm just more confident that stocks have, strengthened to a point where they might start to pull back here. Amira asked for IWM. So you want to take a look at the Russell 2000. And, I'm going to say that the Russell's probably lagging a little bit. Here's IWM. Well, I mean, look, we got some gap fills all the way up here. This is a trading view. Russell, I mean, it's the same thing. It's just their ETF or ETN. 127% extension there. We're just above the 88% retracement. So, yeah, I mean, the IWM might get to 165, and maybe you want to take a shot at it on the short side there, or, probably better yet is, wait for a dip down to here and then get long, this little breakout point. I don't know if I would trade it right now, but I would probably look for a dip down towards 159 to be on the long side, something like that, Amira. So hopefully that helps you out. But overall, I mean, equities continue to blast higher. Why? No one has any idea. The currency markets are pretty quiet, aside from the pounds holding up pretty well. I think it's going to be a fairly quiet day session, unless your focus is on equities or on the cable right now. But I think that the pound is in the middle of the pound might pull back just a little bit, give us some better entry points. Here's the pound Aussie is a good example. I'm bullish the pound Aussie, but I think we might pull back here. Maybe give us a little bit better entry. Maybe near the 180.80 level might be a little bit better, and look for trades like that. Look for pullbacks, and I think the pound can continue to be played on the long side, with the risks of progressing Brexit talks going into towards the end of the week, into Thursday and Friday. So that's pretty much it. I wish there was more to update you guys on the daily roundup, but it is, for the most part, it's a fairly quiet session. It is. I mean, and I just cannot believe how strong stocks are right now. So anyway, Amir asked, will the IWM go to 170? I don't know. I mean, I think your first stop here, where you got to be a little bit more concerned with, is 165. think that's the resistance that you have to pay closer attention to. All right, guys. I hope you have a great one. Thank you very much for your continued support with ForexAnalytix. And tomorrow, hopefully it will be more exciting, a little bit more volatility. So you guys have a great one. I'll talk to you tomorrow on the Face webinar. Thanks, everybody.